I just watched Creed 3. Is it any good? How many butter pumps will it get? Let's find out.
My baby likes.
Hello, my butter babies. So let's talk about Creed 3. Full disclosure, I have not seen Creed 1 or Creed 2. I kinda knew the gist of both movies because I follow arts and entertainment and pop culture news, so I knew the big bullet points for each movie, but I didn't know everything about the movies, so I felt like I was going into this third movie at a slight disadvantage. I may not get the finer points of the movie was making, or maybe some callbacks to the other two movies this movie made. And truth be told, I was kind of right about that. There were more than a few moments where I thought, I probably would understand this a lot better had I seen the first two movies. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. That being said, even though I didn't fully understand all the nuances to certain scenes, it didn't stop my enjoyment of the film. Creed 3 has its own story to tell, and by far and away that is what this movie was concerned with doing. And it did it well. So what's Creed all about? Spoiler alert! From here on out, I will be spilling spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, go on ahead and pause this right here, go see the movie, and then come back for the rest of the review. Creed 3 opens up with Adonis Creed enjoying the retirement life. He's living lovely in his mansion on the hilltop. He loves his daughter Amara, who happens to be deaf. ASL subtitles are sprinkled throughout the film, by the way. I learned that just for you guys. I really do hope that I did it right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Let's blame YouTube tutorials for that. Representation matters. Anyway, there's a really cute scene at the beginning of the movie with Adonis and Amara dressing up for a father-daughter tea party. Her as a princess and he as a frog? Maybe? I feel like I'm wrong about that, but he was dressed in a green hooded onesie for the occasion. It was too cute. His wife has transitioned to becoming a successful music producer, and they're both madly in love with each other. Now, this was one of those moments where the first two movies would have informed a lot about what I was seeing. I got the broad stroke that Bianca was a successful singer, but had to back away from doing that because of hearing loss. But the first two movies would have informed the finer details of her reality. Regardless, Adonis and Bianca are still madly in love with each other and happy in their lives. His mother, Miss Mary Ann, still lives in Bel Air all by herself. The family is trying to get her to move in with them because she's had a stroke, something I am sure was addressed in one of the first two movies or both of them. But so far, Miss Mary Ann has refused because she's recovering quite well from the stroke. Still, the family remains concerned, and truth be told, she does spend a lot of her time spending time with family in Adonis's home, but she's not quite ready to give up her independence. Adonis has bought the gym in the old neighborhood where he grew up, and his boxing coach, Duke, runs the place. Notably absent from this film is Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa. His absence is never explained away in the movie. So I did some research, and I found out Stallone actually opted out of appearing in the film because where they were taking the film was in a different direction than what he wanted for the franchise. According to the articles I read, he's open to returning if there's a Creed 4, but currently there are no concrete plans for that. Although, with the way that it did at the theaters this weekend with the box office, I am all but certain if Michael B. Jordan is up for it, there will be a Creed 4. Sylvester does get a producing credit for this film, so there's that. Anyway, I watched the film. When I was watching it, I honestly thought the Duke character was kind of the stand-in for the Rocky character, and their roles were really interchangeable kind of in the story. The story isn't so much about Rocky as it is about Adonis and his journey. Because of that, Adonis needs a coach. If it's not going to be Rocky, it might as well be Duke. While Rocky's absence was curious to a certain extent, I didn't necessarily miss him because ultimately it's not his story. Enter Jonathan Majors. Jonathan plays a childhood friend of Adonis's named Damian Anderson. Damian was a Golden Gloves boxer. Adonis was his partner who helped him with his bags, his gloves, and helped him with some of his training. That being said, they were both kids. Teenagers at most. But Damian was on his way. He'd won every time he stepped into the ring. They called him a prodigy, a boxing prodigy. He was on his way to Olympic glory and then on to becoming the heavyweight champion of the world. And he was going to take Adonis with him. That was derailed the night Adonis got into a fight with a man named Leon. Leon's boys jumped into the fray and started pummeling Adonis. That's when Damian pulled out a gun and threatened to fire. The police showed up immediately, and Adonis ran. Damian was arrested and carted off to jail where he'd spend the next 18 years. Upon his release, he finds Adonis at the gym and they reconnect. Damian, a complete unknown in the boxing world at this point, wants a title shot, and the movie takes off from there. Damian goes to great lengths to get what he wants, which was a shot at the championship belt, as we just said. He had two of his goons crash a party and, using a police baton, break Victor Drago's hand. Victor was set up to fight against an Adonis Creed protege named Felix El Guerrero Chavez for the heavyweight title. With Victor out, Damian manipulated Adonis into putting him into the fight. Once there, he fights dirty and wins the match, becoming the heavyweight champion of the world, all the while, unfortunately, sending a severely injured Felix to the hospital. But Damian didn't stop there. His endgame was to get Adonis into the ring and beat the crap out of him, proving once and for all he was always meant to be the heavyweight champ, and he will always be a better fighter than Adonis ever could dream of being. Whenever a microphone is within striking distance of him, he calls out Adonis as being soft and weak and a punk. Adonis realizes through a picture his mom gives him that Damian has been playing him from the very beginning. Damian finally watches Adonis on live TV, calls in, and baits Adonis into challenging him to a heavyweight match, which is what he wanted all along. One of the things I really did enjoy about the movie was its nuance when it came to blame. Jonathan Majors, of course, is set up to be the big bad in the movie, but is he really? The movie goes to great lengths to show that once Damian took the fall for the street fight incident, Adonis completely abandoned him. He didn't write, he didn't call, he didn't check up on him. He basically left him to rot in jail for 18 years, while he went on to have the career and life Damian always wanted. I completely understood his resentment and anger towards Adonis. He was justified, in my opinion, in feeling the way he did. I appreciated Damien wasn't just a two-dimensional villain. He had depth, and I felt the pain he had to live with, having made the choices he made, and why he moved through life the way he did. Nuance, nuance, nuance. So let's talk about the boxing. Again, full disclosure, I'm not a real boxing fan. As I said in my quick reaction out of the theater, I'm much more of a lover than I will ever be a fighter. But because this is a boxing film, the majority of the action takes place inside the boxing ring. Lots and lots of fighting. The movie makes it clear it's not just about the violence. It takes technique, skill, focus, lots and lots and lots of training and discipline to fight effectively. And fighting should always be a last option. That point was driven home with a very funny scene with the daughter getting into a fight at her school with a bully. I literally laughed out loud in that theater when Amara knocked that bully out with one punch. Hysterical. Schoolyard fights aside, I really enjoyed how Michael B. Jordan shot the boxing matches. This is Michael's first time behind the camera as director, and I gotta say he knocks it out of the park. His filming is dynamic. He puts you right in the middle of the action. Imagine if you were the ref in a boxing match and you were watching everything that up close. That's how the movie is shot, and yet it's not shot so close that you can't see the blows landing and the whole of the fight taking place. I noticed inspirations coming through in his shooting technique that were reminiscent of movies like 300 and Watchmen, and strangely enough, I saw anime inspiration like the Dragon Ball Z universe. From a technical standpoint, it was a pure delight to watch this movie. I was in the middle of it all and I loved it. There's a whole sequence in the final fight between Adonis and Damien that takes place outside of space and time and Dodger Stadium, where the actual fight is happening. The stadium becomes empty and all of a sudden it's just Damien and Adonis in the ring fighting. It's intercut with images of them as teenagers also in the ring. Then the ring turns into a jail cell where they box. Then it turns into the room where they both stayed in the group home. The imagery, of course, is to show this isn't just about a championship fight. It's about their whole history together. It was a brilliant way for us to get to the heart of the matter and get us to the 12th round without having to sit through 11 rounds of boxing. In the end, of course, Adonis wins the match by knockout. Afterwards, he and Damien have a heart-to-heart inside Damien's locker room. They squash all their beef. Adonis tells him that if Damien ever needs him, he knows where to find him. And that's the end of Damien's story for now. That's the one part of the story I have a love-hate relationship with. I love that he and Adonis, make up. But I wanted to see more of Damien's story. Like, what happens next? Does he continue to fight? Does he move on with life? Does he, move into a different kind of arena? I wanted to know more about Damien, and honestly, that's really a testament to the writing and to the brilliance that is Jonathan Majors. I have said this before, I will say this a million times more. He is such a phenomenally good actor. I could watch him read a dictionary and be thoroughly engaged with him. He's just that good. So while I know the movie had to end sometime, I really hope this isn't the last we see of Damien. Adonis reunites with his family inside the ring and they leave the stadium together. The end. I loved this movie. From start to finish, it really was a great movie. Yes, there were moments in the movie I was just a little confused, but I chalked that up to not having seen the first two movies. All the performances were great, especially, of course, Jonathan Majors. And Michael B. Jordan's first time up at bat as a director was solid. I can't wait to see what else he has in store both in front and behind the camera. So how many butter pumps am I going to give Creed 3? 5 butter pumps. That's right. 5 butter pumps. This movie was everything. So now I turn it over to you, my butter babies. Have you seen Creed 3? If so, what did you think about it? Also, I'm hearing a lot of Twitter chatter that I'm not the only one who hasn't seen the first 2 Creed movies but ran to the theater to see Creed 3. Apparently a lot of you out there did the same thing. I wonder why. If you're one of those people, I want to hear from you. And finally, how many butter pumps would you give Creed 3? I want to hear about it all in the comment section down below. Thank you so very much for watching and subscribing, my beautiful butter babies. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.